We have a really big treat for you today. One of my favorite interviews. I've wanted to do this for such a long time. I'm such a fan of this band, and I'm a fan of this guy. He's not just a musician, he's an entrepreneur. He's a fucking MMA, like, badass guy. I don't know all the terminology, but I know that he's like, he beats the shit out of people with a broken leg. And yeah, you've got a whole bunch of business endeavors and you're just a genius. You moved to America and you just started running shit here. How did that go? How in your life did you decide, I'm fucking going to the USA and I'm about to be like a legend?
Well, it wasn't a decision as I'm gonna be a legend, but I showed up here with a guitar and a bag of clothes. That's the true story. Right. Didn't speak English, so I had to learn all that, and
And what year was that?
And a long time ago, 94, somewhere in there. Yeah, long time ago. So and it was kind of like, okay, let's do this.
Right.
Like roll up the sleeve and work. But I have various life, how would I say this? I just said it in a previous interview, like, give me a nugget.
Right.
He was like, give me a nugget of life advice, but and I just say the same thing because I think this is actually really relevant right now, right. That you gotta decide if the world is happening to you or you're happening to the world.
Couldn't agree more.
Right?
Yeah.
And so that was always my attitude, that I'm here to do something. I was born into this world was here before me. Right? So anything I will do in this world, I'm responsible for because I'm changing sort of a flow of time, like every single one of us. And, and regardless of my circumstances, where I was born and in what circumstances, I'm not gonna accept it. I'm not a victim, right? I'm gonna go and do, and I'm gonna impact this world, right. And I'm gonna do what I want to do, right? So I am happening to this world, you like it or not.
Right. And so when you came here, I'm presuming you don't have any money. You come here and you just essentially, were you always musically inclined, or was that something you picked up later?
So yeah, I came with a guitar.
Right.
I came with a little band, in fact, at the time. But
was that partially what motivated you here, coming here for a band?
Yeah, so basically, I started to play guitar when I was about 12. I made my first guitar literally from a coffee table. I cut out it was a warlock kind of shape, a BC Rich warlock shape that I made. It was an unplayable piece of crap, but but it was a guitar and it was metal, what I mean? And it was all, all that stuff, right? And then eventually, I graduated to getting a little bit of a better guitar and whatnot. So I played guitar since I was like 12, right? So that was always the dream. But there was a time where I'm like, okay, if we can get out of this country some way, if I can, go to the West. That was an impossible dream. We didn't have passports, we didn't have a way to travel to the West, right? So when I would say, like, I'm gonna go to America and I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna play in a heavy metal band, I'm gonna form one and tour the world, right? All my friends were like, come on, dude. You can't make it to the border, right? So it was impossible. But I was in the first lines of people who actually got a passport and I could travel, and that was a time when the whole system was collapsing from the old communist era. And so I was here, and let's go, paddle to the metal.
You left communism, and you came here,
right?
And you become this very successful businessman. Fast forwarding to Five Finger Death Punch, I remember, the first time I saw you guys, sometime in the mid-2000s, maybe mid to late 2000s into the 2010s. And I remember like the first three, I think it was like the Lunatic Luau with that from 99 or something. And you guys were there all the fucking time. And I was like, dude, these guys are like road warriors. And some people get to that level and they never extend and they never grow. And you guys were like this real gritty band that's on the road nonstop. And now you guys are going into a fucking massive summer tour,
right,
with Megadeth.
Right.
We've got The Who. We got Fire from the Gods. Am I missing anyone?
That's right, yeah.
All summer, a ton of dates, and you're going to Europe soon. Right. And who are you playing with in Europe?
So, Europe, this is mainly festivals,
right,
and there are some dates with Metallica.
No big deal.
Do
you ever? I mean, you do so much. So like you're involved, and you talk about not letting life happen to you. You seem not to be just content with the fact that you're this internationally successful musician. You're also involved heavily in, I don't know what the proper terminology is. Let's say you're in jiu-jitsu.
Yes.
Right, okay. And from what you've explained to me, you're essentially, it's not just jiu-jitsu. You're training, you're not doing rock star shit. Right. You're in the gym with everybody else at the normal level, and you're really dedicated to that. What do you think it is? It can't be ego, because a lot of the things you do have to do strictly with discipline. You're very, I would imagine you're a very regimented guy. What is it that motivates you so hard to be involved in all these different things?
Okay, so it's basically, I would say, being a martial artist, a lifelong martial artist. I started judo when I was a little kid, 9 years oldish, and started compete then in judo, and became a martial artist. So I think it's an important distinction.
Sure.
That it's not something I do, it's something I am. There's a difference. It's not like you go and, it's not an aerobic class. I didn't do aerobic or whatever, It's you become a martial artist.
Sure.
And becoming a martial artist, a true martial artist, is also different from being a brawler. A brawler is somebody who goes and, fight in a bar.
Right.
And sometimes you can be good at it. So you can even...
Those guys are no match for you, though.
No, everybody can get knocked down.
Yes.
I will never say that. Everybody can get knocked down, So it's
but tough chances.
Right. Well, I mean, don't think for people, but here's the thing. That's also not a martial artist. Right. You can fight. You can be a fighter even and not be a martial artist. A martial artist is somebody who understands the philosophy and lives by the rules, so to speak, like the philosophy of martial art. It's called the Bushido. There's an idea of I am a martial artist and I look at life as a martial artist, and it's a different way of thinking. Sure. And if you translate that to life and how that interacts with my everyday life or my career, right? For example, in martial arts, I'm in an unfortunate position, right? So what are you gonna do? I'm gonna have to fight my way out of it. I have to find a way out. Let's say take jiu-jitsu, and I'm in an arm bar, or somebody's got me in a choke or some kind of a submission, and so let's translate what happens into real life. I cannot accept this position, right? Translate that into real life. You're in a job, wherever you are, whatever you're doing. Number one, I can't accept this position. Yes. If I accept this position that's unfortunate and uncomfortable, then I'm gonna lose. So translate that to life. Same thing, right? Don't accept the position, number one. So then I have to fight my way out of this position, right?
Wow.
Can I give up? No. In war, the second place is not a good place. Right. In a fight, the second guy it's not a good place. You lost. You get your ass beat.
Right.
Or in that case, yes. In a fight, if you're not first, you're last, right?
Yeah.
So so can I give up? No, I don't want to give up, right? I can't. So I have to fight my way out. So what happens next? I have to figure out. And again, translated to life, every fight is winnable. I have to figure out how, right? It can be a giant guy, it can be multiple people, but still, is it winnable? Yes, I have to figure a way how, right? So then that's the next step. I have, again, translate to life, whatever happens to you, doesn't matter what it is. Right. There's always an answer. How do I get out of this situation? How do I, and the next level of this, I'm not just going to get out of this situation, but I'm going to use this for my advantage. So this is being a counter striker kind of. So life throws throws a punch at you, so to speak, right? So it's not like I'm the victim now, or I'm just gonna take the punches. No. Can I look at this in a way? Can I position in a way that actually this punch that's coming at me becomes my advantage, right? So that's just the really physical way of explaining what I mean by being a martial artist. But in general, it's everything about respect. You respect your enemies, even your enemies. Your worst enemy is the one that keeps you on your toes. Sure. Respect that. So I think that is. Because I am a martial artist and I think like a martial artist is a major part of how I operate in life and how I look at these things. And when managing my career, so to speak, right? When building a band and whatever else I'm building, it's the same philosophy. It's exactly the same patterns that I have to follow.
I think that is so unique, and there are very few people. There's a lot of people in the music industry, and when you deal with creatives in general, whether it's music, whether it's comedy, whether it's anything in the arts per se, you tend to deal with a lot of people that aren't necessarily regimented or particularly disciplined.
I'm not gonna sit here and act like I'm some fucking Navy SEAL. I'm not. Like, I'm not very disciplined at all either. I'm just saying it's unique and extraordinary to see a guy like you who is that disciplined, also very creative. And this is what I want to get into about this album. You design the album art.
Right.
You're not just a musician, you're not just a businessman, you're also a designer. You showed me kind of the way you go about designing it, and you showed me some like early renders and stuff like that. First of all, the art looks great. I love the lyric video. I love the music. Afterlife is very catchy. It gets stuck in your head. What went into making this album cover? How do you do that?
So, you know, that's just a skill that I always had, you know. I designed most of our merchandise, you know. Before the band, you know, I had a design studio, and so that's just a skill I had. I did go to school. I have a degree in, you know,
Wow.
it's like I could translate it to commercial art, you know, because we had fine art and commercial art, and fine art is always like, you know, you have to die first and then your paintings will worth something, you know what I mean? So I'm like, okay, I'm not doing that.
Right.
And you know, there are contemporary, you know, artists, fine artists that are extremely successful, of course, but that's not the norm. Anyway, I always looked at it like, you know, commercial art. That's what I used to design all kind of stuff, album covers, from website to, you know, you got into 3D design and, you know, making 3D movies and all that stuff. But so it's a skill I have, you know. The good thing about it is that I don't have a second person. I don't have to explain my vision to somebody. I can just do it.
I love that. And this album, it's been in the works now. I guess I want to say this is go back to 2020. You guys pretty much spent a lot of the time during the pandemic working on this record. What goes into it? And what can fans expect from this album, which I think, it comes out August 19th?
Yes.
August 19th, Afterlife, 5 Finger Death Punch, new album. Sounds fantastic. What went into putting this record together that makes it different? It feels different. It feels like you guys really, because I remember you were discussing, what's up, man? We got Ivan coming in.
Moody, sorry, I heard you. I had to
What
say
up,
hi. I
bro?
told
Good
you
to
I'd
see
say
you,
hi.
man.
Oh, you're my friend.
Good to see you, bro.
Yeah?
What up? Right here, this one. We got Ivan in the house.
What's up, everyone?
What up, dude?
Ma, we got like 20 minutes, brother.
Yeah. Oh, shit.
I love you
Are we
guys, by the
running
way.
low on time?
Hey,
Okay,
seriously, thank you guys for everything.
Hell yeah,
Let's
hell
get this
yeah.
smashed.
So this record, it feels very different. I know, you know, from talking to you, how much effort you guys have put into it. What's different about it this time around? It seems like you guys are, not that you haven't been all hands on deck in the past, but from my vantage point, it really seems like this was like a make or break album for you guys. What went into this?
I mean, even when we started this record, you know, we always had this kind of rule of you go to the studio and you just record everything, right? And no crazy idea is crazy. Let's see what happens, right? So that was always the attitude, but this time somehow this was even more emphasized. So we really went to the studio like, look, this is the 9th album. You know, we have a sound. Fans know exactly who we are. So our sound and how we sounded for 9 albums, that's established.
Right.
You hear the first riffs, you hear Ivan's voice, you know who this is. You know, there's no guessing, and that kind of gave us this opportunity. Like, you know what? Let's just venture a little bit farther for, you know, and also it's, you know, it's the whole idea that this is a new phase for the band as well. You know, we had a couple of lineup changes, this and that, you know, and so there was this new energy, you know. Like we went in there happy, and the whole process was sort of easy,
Right.
You know, because if we were just in that headspace, we were just rolling. This was you know, one of my favorite records to make, and also it's one of my favorite records.
Sure.
You know, there was this different energy of, you know, of creation.
Right.
And I think that all the fingerprints of that is all over the record.
Right.
So it's very special.
A lot of people, you know, obviously people say, oh, this is our best album ever, but I have seen kind of how you guys have really meticulously worked on this. It looked like at one point you guys were posting you're in like the mountains in the snow,
Right.
but your guys are going on vacation together. You guys also seem to be in a better place than you guys have ever been before. Everybody's like, I mean, I'm here right now. Nobody's walking around fucked up. Everybody's
Right,
like on their A game. Somebody was walking by with like a smoothie. Like, you guys are all in physical shape. You know, What's it like going to that place after having like a sort of tumultuous history that's well storied?
Yeah, I mean, it was, there's nothing to hide. So it was out there. Ivan had to get sober, and I always looked at him. It was my little brother, basically, and it was a struggle for him to get where he is, but he didn't give up on himself.
That's right.
He tried and tried and tried, and I can't give up on him if he doesn't give up on himself.
That's right.
So, there's always a saying that you can't really save anyone unless they want to be saved, and he did the work.
Yes.
And, and so stood by him, and we got to this point where we are good, so and there's a long enough period of time passed when it's an impossible, it's not even a thought now that he could possibly go back and, and wobble on this, he's so focused now,
Right.
So all that became sort of a security blanket now.
Sure.
Okay, we're good. We can now really concentrate on what we have to do because all this noise stopped.
Right.
All the crazy stuff, and as for everything else, I mean, you never find an interview that I said negative stuff about past band members or even other bands.
Course,
I just thought that's not my thing. But in this case, we got to the point where relationships come to an end.
Sure.
And so therefore there are some lineup changes, and that's actually healthy. Right? Because if something doesn't work, you gotta move on. It's just simple as that.
But also with these lineup changes, the other members were obviously great, but these new guys, typically when you see member changes, people are like, oh man, but you went out.
Right.
And you got some players.
Right.
Those guys are virtuosos.
Right.
Insane.
Right.
And I've gotten to see them play live last year. We were at Blue Ridge, and it was insane. It was an incredible show. That show also had like 100,000 people there, and as there will be tonight, which is just going to be surreal. Right. And you guys are. What can people expect on this summer tour? Because I just want to say this: if you're watching this video, you have a band. People say, "Oh, rock music is dead. There are not any new bands anymore." Now, Five Finger, you guys have been around for a while, but you're not like Metallica old.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You're not old, and so it's like you guys are still growing. Clearly,
Yes.
I mean, that's a fact. Look at the streaming numbers. Look at the ticket sales. Look at the tour packages. You're still growing at a very fast rate. You're touring with Metallica in Europe. How do you keep that momentum going?
It is that we know we're not done yet. This is we're not looking at us. We arrived. It is we are still hungry. We're still going. We're still growing, right? And we came out in an era where there was no global. There's no MTV. There's no global power that can
It's a good
put
point.
up. You know what I mean? Like the predecessors, the bands, the big bands before. They could bring out their music, and there were these major labels, and there were these major outlets that somebody can be put in front of the entire world at once, and boom, there were these giant superstars, right? And that changed. So we don't have that, even though obviously there's the internet, right? But it's not curated. So that means what are the chances that you stumble into a new band unless somebody told you about it, right? So even though we have this interconnected world, you don't have that impact of like MTV was a curator, like here is what's the new stuff, right? You don't have that really, and so it's a different era and it works differently. And I think the whole industry, the music industry and bands, had to figure out how does this work,
Yeah.
And like right now, the thing is like how does this go viral?
Right.
And so there are different ideas of how to get a band in front of people. And I think we were the last band, at least in this genre, who still came from the traditional terms. Like we were selling records, actual records, CDs, and people physically bought.
Right.
We were exactly in that phase when the streaming services started to get stronger and stronger. So I guess we were the last one through that. The hole in that needle.
Right.
And hard work, man. We were out on the road 200 days a year or more.
Yeah.
And non-stop, right? And
you guys have had some time off a lot of time off, and now you're getting back to it, and you're getting back into a sick touring schedule. And one of the things from my vantage point that I think from seeing your growth, two things. Obviously, the number one thing is that you guys are genuinely authentic.
right.
People connect with you guys. People connect with Ivan. People feel, they see, I think, similar to Jelly Roll. I think Jelly Roll's a very authentic guy. You look at him, you're like, fuck, man, he's just like me. Like, I see myself in him, etc. And also your music videos. To me, nobody does music videos with more cinematography. Like, you have full-blown war scenes in your videos. I can't imagine how much that costs to structure. But what can fans expect on this album cycle through, without spoiling anything, from some of the videos? Because I mean, as a videography guy, not on your level, but like, I'm always interested to see what you guys come out with. What can we expect on this album cycle?
So, you know, the videos generally, the reason that those videos, I mean, if you notice, that a lot of videos were not even in it.
Right.
All right, because it wasn't, the idea wasn't like, okay, I'm going to be on the top of the hill with my chest out and my hair is in the air, you know. That wasn't the thing for me. And for us, it was, we want to say something. And that's what matters, that people hear you. I got something to say. I have something to show you, you know, and that connects. It wasn't the rock star look at me stuff,
right.
You know what I mean? So that the content wasn't, you know, the content wasn't like, oh, look at you look at us, right? It was really the message, what this is about, and so that's why I think people connected. And you know, this particular record, you know, you can always plan, and let's see how the schedule comes together, that we are kind of planning to shoot a video for every song.
Sure.
So that's quite a challenge to do, you know, because of schedules and whatnot, but that's the idea. So
do you foresee that being, again, I don't want to spoil anything, but do you foresee that being one concurrent storyline, or do you see it? Wow.
So see, this
that's
record,
exciting.
See, here's the thing. This record wasn't meant to be a concept album, so we didn't approach it that way. But it kind of became, you know, unintentionally, it became a concept album in a way that the themes, the lyrical, motives and elements, what Ivan is singing about, and even musical motives are kind of, you know, interact with each other and reoccur, and you know, and they connected. And so there is this idea of how about shooting a music video for every single song, and can we connect them?
Right.
Can we make it into a full story? Again, it's a massive challenge.
Right.
The biggest challenge is that we don't have the 3 months to do this, sitting home and, you know.
Because you're hitting the road. I mean, you're going back into full tour mode.
But we will try.
Yeah.
We will try.
I mean, going over to Europe, is there any like instability with that? Is that sort of, I guess, I mean, I don't know if you guys had dates in Ukraine or anything, but like, is that something does that make it challenging?
Obviously, yeah, we did have both Russia, Ukraine. We had shows scheduled there. Obviously, those things can happen now. So, you know, so we'll see what happens in the future.
Which sucks, because there's such a big, obviously Ukraine and Russia, the people, I'm not advocating for any governments, I'm just saying the people there are big fucking metalheads, and that's unfortunate. So with this tour of the North American tour, with Megadeth, this is, from what I can imagine, I think this is the biggest metal tour like of the year, hands down. Biggest rock tour. I mean, the amount of dates you guys are doing, the markets you're hitting like every market in North America. So you're making up for pretty much the years that you guys have been gone. What can fans expect on this tour? By the way, I've linked to tickets for this tour in the description of this video. Five Finger Death Punch, Megadeth, you don't want to miss this.
Right. I mean, obviously the bill is pretty diverse, right? Like we have, you know, Fire from the Gods, love that band. They have a little bit of almost a reggae and a world kind of, you know, vibe, a little bit of a tilt. So it's still a heavy band, but you know, but they have a very interesting, you know, flavor. And I really love that band. I'm a fan and love the guys, you know. AJ, the singer, all of the guys. I'm a good friend of mine, the whole band, and you know, I'm helping them with their career wherever I can, and you know. And then you have a Who. The Who is again, a totally different flavor, right? It's just a completely different flavor, and you know, and then you have obviously the Megadeth, one of the big fours, and so and then us, and so every band, you know, we have an overlapping fan base, somewhat, but not completely. Yeah, and that's what makes it interesting. Like you might not have come out to see the Who, but now you're gonna see them. Yeah, and you might
you're gonna see them, and you're gonna go,
what is this? You know, it's cool, right? So I think that's the art of putting together a good tour, where you have some overlapping fan base, but you also have enough diversity.
And you're bringing out the fire, the explosions. I mean, that you expect with a five-finger show.
We're gonna go balls to the wall with this.
The last thing I want to touch on here, because I know you got to get ready for this badass show, the fans. Five Finger Death Punch. You guys have, I look at all. I mean, you got Slipknot, the Maggots. They're nuts. You guys also though have a real loyal, dedicated fan base that exists in places throughout the country where you don't see, like, you guys can pretty much tour anyways. I remember you were coming to Virginia and I'm like, oh shit, where? It's gonna either be Northern Virginia or it's gonna be Hampton Roads. And you're like, no, we're playing in Roanoke. And I'm like, man, that's like in the mountains. I've never seen that before. And it's like, you guys really do go to everywhere. Talk about how you think that you guys have cultivated such a strong fan base.
It's, you know, this was instant. Like, this connection happened right away.
Right.
And this is something that you can't pay for it. You can't make this. That whole idea of, like, you know, yeah, major labels come in and the money man and they promote the band and then everybody loves them.
Yeah.
No, there's no amount of money I can give you to like a band that you don't like. It's just not, it's just, you can fake it, but you're not gonna like it. So that relationship between, you know, fans and band cannot be both. You know, it's either there or it isn't, right?
Yeah.
And so we always had this connection. As this happened day one, and one of the reasons why, you know, we didn't have to struggle that way. Anywhere we went, the next time the audience would double.
Sure.
And then double again, you know? And that's why this exponential growth, because, you know, because this connection was instant. You know, lyrically and what we are about, and, you know, as people, what we are about as, you know, as a band, people associate with us. So it's either they, you know, it's like the thing, either they feel you or they don't.
Right.
You know? And then you can't really change. There's nothing that's there that changes that, you know. That
right.
Again, you can't buy that connection. You can't artificially create it. And we had that from the get-go. That's how you kind of know that there's something here.
Right.
You know, as we started it, just immediately. And the other thing, I guess, is that, you know, this connection was not just real, but it is personal. I remember faces and names from the very first shows. I can when we played for like 200 people, and I remember, oh, you guys, right? And it grew to the point, like, we are kind of the modern day Grateful Dead.
Yeah.
In a way that
following you know
what I mean? Like, we're going to Brazil, and all of a sudden I look at, like, oh, here's the German fan club.
Wow.
The UK fan club, the Swedish guys, because I see their flags.
They're on my page too. I see all the Death Punch fan bases are active.
But they travel the world. They come wherever we play. They come with us. It's just it's the craziest thing, you know. It's just what it is, and we run our own social media.
Yep.
We talk.
You're very engaged with your band. A lot of people get rich and famous,
and they forget
of which you're both.
Right.
I mean, but who's counting? Right. And
but you very much maintain. It's very much. It seems like a very homegrown. Like, you're very hands-on with the band, as are all the members. And I think that some people lose sight of that as their careers go on. And it's like, just let the people handle it. I'm over here getting this bread. You guys seem it's like less about the money, not necessarily about the money, more about you have something to prove and you're trying to be the best.
I have something to say.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like that. We have something to say.
Right.
And we didn't forget where we come from. You know, like this is happening because of all of us. You know, we had to create the music. The fans reacted, and they hear and they support the band. So this is like a reciprocal relationship that is real, and and we didn't forget.
Well, I just want to thank you so much, dude, for doing this. I know you were very pressed for time, and it means a lot that you did this, and we are so pumped about this album. The album is dropping when again? August 19th? August 19th. Yeah. Y'all check it out. Again, link in the description to the tickets. It's going to be an insane tour. You talking about the Grateful Dead, I'm probably just going to be following you guys in behind in like a van or something, and, carpeted van. So thank you, bro. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this show, bro. I cannot wait. It's going to be insane tonight. Like 100,000 fans. Y'all, thank you so much. Again, support the record, support Five Finger Death Punch. Real motherfuckers out here. Thank you so much, bro.
Thank you.